What's up? My name is Big Lou. Welcome to Go Produce, where our focus is to help music indie artists turn their passions into profit. We've already interviewed over 40 music industry professionals to determine how they have turned their passion into profit, as that is exactly what we're trying to do here. This is part 4 of a 4-part series called the Start Your Indie Artist Career. And if you haven't watched the other episodes, please stop this episode right now. Watch the first 3 episodes because it'll all make sense before you get to this. Now, just keep in mind, I'm going to be giving you tips that you don't necessarily have to follow in order to get your first performance in. There isn't anything really stopping you from signing up and really just rapping in front of people, going to an open mic, or even getting onto your first bill. However, if you're interested in not only performing but actually entertaining people, then I've got some tips for you. The first tip that I'm going to share with you is please build yourself a performance track. If you don't know what a performance track is, it is a track, a copy of your song that does not have all of the components of your actual vocals. So you're gonna pull your verses, you're gonna pull your bridges, maybe you're gonna lower the volume of your hook, include parts of your ad-libs and your doubles so that you can have reference points for while you're on stage performing. You don't wanna be rapping or singing, for that matter, over your vocals because it'll be conflicting. You're not able to connect deeply with your audience because it's gonna be a clash. They're gonna hear that in their ears and it's not gonna be satisfying for them. So even just that small subtlety will cause them to disconnect from you, and that's the opposite of what you're trying to accomplish in a performance. When you have your performance track, or even before you have your performance track, you can start getting ready with rehearsals. A lot of people say, I don't need to rehearse. Cool, that's up to you. I'm not gonna take that chance. Before I get in front of people, I'm gonna wanna make sure that I'm well polished, well refined, to make sure that I'm actually entertaining them. What I do in order to rehearse is I rehearse in front of a mirror, or I actually record myself actively and then I watch this rehearsal tape, because this will allow me to take in the fine details as to what I'm doing, so that I make sure I don't do it when I'm in front of people, so that I make sure that I'm more comfortable with my movements, my confidence goes up, and even when I stumble, I have a plan of attack to get back onto and then keep on moving as if it was part of my routine, which can still be mildly entertaining. Another feature that you're going to want to rehearse before you get on stage is what you're going to be saying between your songs. How are you going to introduce your songs? You're going to want to give it a little bit of a preface, but you're not going to want to talk too much to bore the audience, right? So you have to find that fine balance. You don't have to memorize word for word what you're going to say, but if you have an idea, a feel of what you're going to do, this will very much help you with your flow of your songs. As you're doing your rehearsals and you've got your songs in order, and you're really studying yourself, you see yourself in the mirror, you see yourself in camera, and you're really taking into consideration what you're doing, one thing that I find is bigger than anything else while you're performing is making sure you've got that eye contact. Yes, you're gonna wanna bring energy. Obviously, you're not gonna wanna forget all of your lyrics. Memorize most of your lyrics, memorize all of your lyrics if you can. But people can forgive you with that. But if you're lacking on the eye contact, it's like you're not even there. The day's coming. You've got one more day, 24 hours left on the clock. What are you gonna be doing? You're gonna be resting, you're gonna be rehearsing, you're gonna get maybe just one more rehearsal in. If you can do it the day of, great. If you can do it the night of, great. If you can do both, even better. What you're gonna really want to emphasize is getting some rest. I was a little bit nervous the night before my first performance, so I didn't get the full amount of rest that I was hoping I would, but make sure that you allocate the time and give yourself at least the opportunity to get rest. Day of, I would still recommend drinking lots and lots of water. Make sure that you're hydrated. Drinking water minutes before your performance or even an hour before your performance won't help you out very much because it takes time for it to really soak into the rest of your body. So make sure that you're hydrating throughout and up until 1 hour before your show. Now you're moments away from getting on stage. You might have that pre-game jitters. I like to jump around back and forth. Maybe you do a couple push-ups. The ground might be a little slimy, so watch out what you're doing there. But get the adrenaline going, because a lot of that has to do with nerves. But if you can get that moving, it feels better. Make sure to take a couple of deep breaths so you can get over those fears. This is a game of breaths. We're speaking into the mic. If you're not breathing, you're not performing. So make sure to take in those deep breaths. Focus on what you're doing. Focus on what you love doing. There are also a couple of tricks that you can do slightly before you get on stage in that hour period where you can warm up your voice. And I'll do a couple here, just like So essentially, you're warming up your voice. You can even hum the melody of your actual songs to get into that routine, just so that when you're on stage, the first time you hit it away, you take it home and make sure that you give the crowd everything that you brought that night. One last tip that I would suggest doing in that hour period, if you can, obviously you're staying away from different kinds of foods. I'd stay away from alcohol myself personally, that's up to you. But one thing that you could do is drink something with honey. This can be a tea, this can be some water, hot water, warm water with honey, but the honey itself is very soothing for your voice. I wouldn't overdo it, but it also does really add that extra element. So you've experimented with the diet, you know what you're gonna do, what you're not gonna do in anticipation for your performance. When you get there, what are you gonna be doing? You're not just gonna sit in the corner. You're not gonna get there, first of all, 5 minutes before your show. You're not gonna get there late. You're gonna wanna get there approximately an hour before. Make sure that you can set up with the sound guy, and you're gonna meet the DJ, you're gonna meet the event owner, the event promoter, all of the parties involved. Network with the other performers, network with the staff of the facility. If there are patrons and there are other guests, start saying hi to them. Get a feel for what is going on. Remember, you are still an individual. You're all humans. No one is bigger than the next person, so we can just connect with one another if we go into it with that approach, with that perspective. On top of getting there early and networking and socializing before the show, you're gonna want to execute your show and then remain for the remainder of the show. Sometimes shows go super long and you were at the beginning of the bill and something doesn't work out. But if you can, do your best to stay for the remainder of the show. Support the other artists on the bill. They were there for you. Maybe they weren't. Even if they weren't, support them, because that's what it takes to get to the next level. You've got to be really committed to the game. Maybe they do something small, tiny nuance that you really find fascinating, and you integrate it into your repertoire. Now that you've got your first experience out of the way, you've done your show, your first hip-hop show, your first rap show, whatever it was, you've got that first experience done and in the books. Part of the plan, of course, is to now reflect on that experience. See what you did, learn from that experience, talk to the different people that you just met, people that you knew previously, ask them what they thought. You're gonna take all of these experiences, all of these pieces of information, and then use it to grow. You're gonna take this information and become a better performer. And you're gonna do this immediately after the first show. In conclusion, I wanna know, have you performed yet? If you have, tell me what it was like. If you haven't though, let me know what your questions are. How can we get you ready to entertain and not just perform? Also, don't forget to subscribe, because in 2 weeks, December 1st, we're starting season 5. In season 5, what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna take you through an artist's career pretty much from their development stages from the beginning up until performing in more detail, but we're also going to be including music industry professionals along the way that you would likely be talking to, so that we can actually see the process from beginning to end. This is going to be a lot more educational and more fun than the previous seasons, so I want you all there full of enthusiasm. Let's do it. All right, if you learned anything at all in this series, please hit subscribe, please hit that like button, and please hit that bell icon so that you can get notifications when we start releasing season 5. It's coming real soon and you don't want to miss it. I'll see you there. My name is Big Lou. This is Go Produce. We out.